would you live in a house where somebody had died? And would you live in the house if you knew that that person was murdered there?
I feel like most houses have had somebody die in it, probably, right?
You know what? You're right.
Probably, like
Yeah.
if it's an old enough house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A murder, if I'm getting a good deal,
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I
man.
said too.
I think I wouldn't care.
That's what I'm saying.
I think I would think about it a lot.
I think I would be okay if the murder wasn't like brutal.
Just a chill murder. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. A chill murder.
Like a poisoning. Yeah. Like a nice peaceful poisoning.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to perform an autopsy?
Ever wanted to know how accurate your favorite crime drama is?
If you're brave enough,
Join us inside the morgue. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Morgue. We are your hosts and favorite pathology duo, Jess and Alice. And this week for our mini, we're playing everybody's favorite game, Morbid Curiosity. And once again, we will be asking our producer, Dylan, some of his opinions, because we've gone through these questions before, but we're going to give some new answers, and we're going to get Dylan's answers this time. And
a
Dylan,
non-morgue worker's point of view.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Dylan, if anybody here wants to start a podcast with you, where can they find you?
You can reach me by emailing me, dylan@youngjunk.com. And if you have an idea for a podcast and you're just dying to start it, Young Junk can help you.
You say dying to start it?
Yeah. See what I did there?
Unintended.
Get it?
Guys, because we work in a morgue.
If you didn't know already, now you know.
Now you know. Yeah, welcome to this podcast called Inside the Morgue. We work in a morgue.
We chose this life.
We did. And death.
All right, first question. Dylan, would you live in a house where somebody had died? And would you live in the house if you knew that that person was murdered there?
I feel like most houses have had somebody die in it, probably, right?
You know what? You're right.
Probably, like
Yeah.
if it's an old enough house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A murder, if I'm getting a good deal,
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I
man.
said too.
I think I wouldn't care.
That's what I'm
I think I wouldn't
saying.
care. I think I would think about it a lot. And that might be weird, but if I'm getting a good deal, that might seal the deal. Yeah.
I think I had the same answer. And I think we talked about if it was like a one-time, like the circumstances of the murder.
One-time murder.
Well, like, were they targeting the house? Like, what? Like, would I be in danger if I moved in?
Every
How many
owner has
murders
been
have happened in
murdered.
this house?
This is their kill room.
A very specific serial killer who only attacks this address, and they somehow haven't caught him yet. I don't know how. But yeah, I think same thing. Like, if, again, like you said, if people have died in houses all over the place, and yeah, if it was a murder, if I got a good deal on it, I always think of just Amityville Horror, the beginning of the movie, when they're like, "This is a great house. What's the catch?" And they're like, "Well, an entire family was murdered here." And
I also think about American Horror Story Murder House, where they're like, "Oh, like, why isn't this house off the market? Like, it's so nice." And they're like, "Well, people were murdered here."
Yeah. My drawback for the murder house would be if there'd be a lot of looky-loos, like who would want to, like, because that happened with the Amityville Horror House, and like they had to change the street name and the way the house looked on the outside because it was so distinctive in the way it looked. People knew the house even when they changed the street name and the address, and like people were harassed, and they're just like, "I just live in this house.
I just want to live my life."
Yeah. And fun fact, my grandparents knew the people who owned the Amityville Horror House and like went to dinner parties there.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, not the people immediately after the murders, the people after that who like lived in it for more than a month. Because like famously the people who moved in right after the murders only stayed there for a month, but then like another people bought it. And like I didn't find it out until after my grandparents passed, and I was so upset. I was like, I can't even ask them what it was like. They'd probably just be like, "It was just a house.
We just had dinner there.
And it was our friend's house. What are you talking about?" But yeah, they had been to the Amityville Horror House.
I think I would be okay if the murder wasn't like brutal.
Just a chill murder. Sorry.
Yeah, chill murder.
Like a poisoning. Yeah, like a nice peaceful poisoning.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
So is suicide?
Oh my god. No, see, I don't know.
Like it really depends on like the degree of murder that happened. That would kind of like sway me like one way or another. But if somebody just died of natural causes, like sure, I'll move into that house. It's probably a beautiful house and they were old and they lived there their entire life.
Yeah. I think it also depends on how superstitious a person is.
Yeah.
Like, or how much
they believe the ghost is still haunting that house because they have unfinished business.
Do you believe it's a haunted house? And is that a selling point for you?
It could
Do you want to live in a haunted house or no? Could be. Depends. These are all things to consider when you're buying a home, everybody. Trust me, as somebody who's only ever rented.
I did not consider that when buying a house.
Well, you know nobody's died in your house.
Mine's new construction.
Yours is new construction. All right, so this is a fun one. We all have to try to name as many movies as we can with the word death in the title.
Happy Death Day.
Oh, good one.
Ooh.
Death Becomes Her.
Ah, damn.
Did I take yours?
Yeah, you did.
Happy Death Day to you.
That's cheating. All right, Dylan.
Is there a film adaptation of Death of a Salesman? There probably is.
That's a good one.
I think that counts. Yeah. I think we can count movies and plays.
Okay. Deathly Hallows.
I'm pretty sure there
Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows. And then there's a part 2 for that one.
I just know I'm going to be at home later tonight and be like, damn it.
Oh my God.
You're going to be in the shower like, I couldn't have the answer.
There was a very similar question that we did in another episode where it was like, name as many songs as you can about death. And I had that same exact moment. And I was like, damn it, I forgot this album. I'm like, what other, there has to be more movies with the word death in the title. Death Becomes Her was just the first one that popped in my head. That's one of my favorite
never
movies.
seen it. I really want to.
It's very good.
They're making a musical adaptation.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'd love to do that. I'd love to see that. Yeah, I feel like there's not as many movies as I thought there were with like the word straight up word like death in the title. No, it's cheating, Jess.
I already gave my answer.
Yeah, it's fine. I can do it.
I'm sure the people out there are wondering.
People out there are screaming their answers about how we're forgetting so many movies.
Comment below.
Death at a Funeral.
Comment.
What movies are we forgetting?
What's that?
Death at a Funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Till Death with Megan Fox.
I've never seen that.
Oh, that
you
movie
haven't seen that one
crazy.
where she goes on like a cabin getaway with her boyfriend, and then she wakes up and she's handcuffed to his dead body, and she basically has to like get out of there because people are coming after the boyfriend and now her.
It was like, I feel like that was in this long string of movies. It's like, okay, what if we did this crazy thing to a woman?
Where it's like such a limited cast where there's like 6 people in the cast.
Yeah. What year did that come out?
That was 2021. That's on Hulu, I think.
What if we did this to a woman?
Like that, like Gerald's Game.
I was just thinking of Gerald's Game.
It kind of gave the same vibes as that. I'm like, why are we putting women in these situations?
Why are we handcuffing women to dead men all the time? Any other good ones?
No, not really.
Comment?
Dawn of the Dead.
Below. That's dead, though, not death.
I know, it's not death. Apparently there was a movie in 2018 called Death Wish.
No.
I know
Never
there's
heard
a
of her.
documentary about the band called Death. I think it's called A Band Called Death.
That counts.
Evil Dead.
These are all words like dead.
I know,
this
it's not
specifically
death.
asked death in quotes.
That's all I got.
All right, so everybody, comment below any movies that we forgot.
If you know more than Google does, let me know.
I'm sure if you are smarter than the internet, everybody.
We have a lot of questions for you.
All right, next question. Dylan, would you date a death worker, like a coroner, a mortician, funeral director?
No, they're weird.
Yeah, I already produced a podcast for 2 of them, and that's enough.
He's had his fill.
I asked Costa this question, and he's like, I feel like I'm being tricked. Actually, I think he said that, and then he was really cute. He's like, no, I wouldn't. I'd marry one. Aww. How cute.
Dom was already in it before I even started working, so
Same.
he can't get out of it.
Yeah, he knew. That's what I've been asked that before. Like people who don't know me very well and then like find out what I do. If they don't know I'm like engaged to somebody, they'll be like, "Oh my god, what's dating like?"
They're
With
like,
that
what does your boyfriend think of this?
I'm like, who gives a
Care?
shit? I don't care. I don't care what he thinks about it.
It's my life.
It's my life. It's my career. But yeah, people are like, "Oh, dating has to be weird like that." I was like, I wouldn't know. I locked this down before
I know.
before I became a coroner.
Thanks, Dom.
It's too late now. Okay, but if I wasn't happily engaged and about to marry Costa, I think I would. Still,
I think I would
marry-
too.
I'd date.
I'd probably be like, that's a super cool job. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll get into that field. And then I
Yeah,
got
and
into
then
that field.
get into that, and then they make a TV show about it.
Well,
Yeah.
do you think it would be hard, like, if you weren't engaged to Costa? Like, would it be hard for you?
Yeah, it would be very hard if I wasn't
Dating?
engaged to Costa. Yeah, no, I can see that sometimes too, because sometimes I feel bad. Like if I have a really hard day at work, like emotionally hard day at work, and then like Costa comes home and he's trying to tell me about his bad day at work, I'm just sitting there thinking about like, I'm
How
like,
much worse mine is, but you can't say
but yeah,
that.
I can't say that because like it's not fair to
Mhm.
compare what's worse for somebody or the other. I'm sitting there thinking like I saw the most traumatic thing imaginable today, and I just have to sit here and have a normal conversation. But
Yeah.
that was when I first started working in the morgue. That was really, really hard for me because I would try to just keep it all to myself.
I think I still bottle a lot of my
Mhm.
emotions up.
Talk to me about it right now.
I know.
Oh my
On
goodness.
air.
Let's get into it. No, I'm sorry. No, but for real, you can talk to me about it. Yeah, I would bottle it all up. I wouldn't talk to anybody about it, especially because like I didn't want to burden Costa with it, and then
Mhm.
it just kind of made things worse because then I'd get bottle it up and I'd get really emotional, or I'd get like angry at like little things that usually would bother me
Yeah.
because it was just like I wasn't feeling my feelings when I needed
Yeah.
to. So now I'll let Costa know, like if I know it's gonna be a bad day at work, I'll text him ahead of time like, "Hey, it's gonna be a rough one for me today. Just giving you a heads up. Like I'm gonna need some space, or I'm gonna need some time to hang out with you and just like not think about things." And like he will be there if I need to talk. But and we've talked about this before. The only person who really gets it is you.
Mhm.
Like
Me
yeah,
too.
yeah. But I think give a lot of credit to the people who date and are marrying us. It's not easy.
Thanks for doing the hard work.
Yeah. Thanks for loving us. All right. Would you go on a picnic in a cemetery? And if you would, what would you bring? Dylan.
If it's a scenic cemetery, why the hell not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Have
would
you
I-
gone on a picnic in a cemetery?
I don't believe I have.
Highly recommend.
There's a pretty big cemetery around where I grew up, and there's like a huge path through it that like isn't all around the cemetery. There's like a bunch of trees and stuff like that. So I would like ride my bike around in there a lot.
Mhm.
I could imagine having a picnic near there. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you bring to the picnic?
Sandwiches.
Nice.
Little
Some-
tiny sandwiches.
Some hoagies.
Ooh, some
Ooh.
hoagies.
I was trying to think of something like funny, but I can't think
Would
of
you
anything
bring?
yet.
Hold on. Did you bring popcorn?
Yeah.
We need some popcorn now.
I grew up across the street from a cemetery, and never once did I think about, I'm going to go over here and have a picnic. But it wasn't that nice of a cemetery. It was
Mhm.
like you could just drive through it to get to the other side of the street, so you can avoid one of the street lights,
Yeah.
and then you can go to the shopping center next to that. But it wasn't like a cute cemetery, like how there's a cemetery around here. That's really
Laurel
nice.
Hill.
Yeah, Laurel
Mhm.
Hill's really nice.
Yeah, I've actually gone on a picnic in Laurel Hill. Coast and I went this past October. It was like the weekend after our anniversary, and we didn't really do much, and we just thought like it was a really nice fall day. And so we went to our rock climbing gym, we did some rock climbing, and then we just packed like a little picnic and we went and we just sat. It was a nice sunny day. We had just like different crackers and cheeses and warm apple cider. And
Aw.
it was really nice. It was a nice day. And I think people like, I mean, obviously if you're going to do a picnic in the cemetery, be respectful. Like
Mhm.
don't don't be weird, don't be disrespectful, especially because like that's a place where people come to celebrate the life of their
Right.
loved ones or mourn if they want to. So be respectful. But I think like it shouldn't be a taboo thing to go visit a cemetery.
Or just like walk through. Like
Walk through,
I've taken
like-
Nova on a walk through a cemetery.
Yeah, I don't think it shouldn't be a taboo thing. And I don't think death should be a taboo thing to talk about. Clearly, we have a podcast.
We talk about it a lot.
talk about it constantly, and you all listen. And-
You
but-
weirdos.
yeah, I know. But yeah, I think it should be more normal to just like, especially if
Yeah.
it's a nice scenic cemetery. It should be like, I don't know. I like visiting
Mhm.
people. I like reading the tombstones, and I'm like, wow, I wonder what their life was like. And like, I don't know.
Some of the really old ones are cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love going through an old cemetery.
The one near me had a lot of really large and elaborate Asian graves.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. Like it was like a whole section of them. It was pretty cool.
The one that I was across the street from my parents' house growing up, they had like huge mausoleums.
Yeah. There was there's another cemetery around here that's really beautiful, and it's a nice walk one day. And there was a day I was off from work, so I just went for a walk by myself through the cemetery, and I found a mausoleum with my family's last name on it. I freaked out.
You're like, Mom?
I was like, it's like, do we have somebody named Henry in our family? Because there's a Henry buried here with our last name. And not related. I looked him up. But it was like really interesting to see. Like I love the architecture of certain like mausoleums and cemetery and
Mhm.
like different tombstones. Like and like sometimes they have really pretty stained glass in the mausoleums. And, yeah.
There's some nice quotes on some of them.
Yeah. There's one by me. They have a little section for like pets. Like people that are buried with their pets. And I'm like,
Aw,
it's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it should be cool to go on a picnic cemetery. And
Mhm.
bring some warm apple cider if you're going on like a crisp fall day.
Hmm.
It's fantastic.
I would bring dirt.
Dirt? What do you mean?
Like the pudding dirt that you make.
Are you burying somebody there? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would bring dirt. That was the best answer. You win.
Another one for Team Jess.
Marking it off. Tally that one.
Is this our last question or do we have one more? This is our last question.
Oh no! It's okay.
This is a
good
really
one.
quick one. So, would you put a loved one's ashes in jewelry or like do a tattoo?
I've never heard of doing either of those. That's the jewelry is interesting. The tattoo is even more intriguing. I've never heard of that. Is that safe?
I don't know. I was about to say I don't know. I've heard of it. I've never actually met somebody who did
Mm-hmm.
it, so I'm not entirely sure it's real. But I've known people who do it in jewelry. I've
Yeah.
seen that.
That seems
Yeah.
like I feel like if you're doing a tattoo, I feel like you have to ask that person's permission. It's like when you die, can I put you
In me.
in my skin?
It's so weird.
So,
Is that
so
okay?
When you
weird.
say it like that,
I would do like a memorial tattoo,
yeah.
but not like put their ashes in the ink.
Yeah, like I mean, I understand the sentiment, like, oh, you're a part of me now, but I guess jewelry could have the same effect
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're wearing it. I don't really wear much jewelry or
Mhm.
have any, so maybe that would be a good reason to get some.
There you
I
go.
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting idea. I've heard of like people pressing ashes into like records and stuff
What?
like
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and it's like you can choose what songs are on it, I believe.
Whoa.
Wait, I like that.
I want to do that.
Yeah, I
With
thought that
who?
was
With
pretty
you?
cool.
With me. I'm going to be a record.
Well, there's a good question. If you were a record,
Ooh.
what song would you be?
Oh,
I would be the
God.
Twilight soundtrack
Yeah.
from 2008.
Bella's Lullaby?
That was Lullaby. Specifically where most of my ashes would be.
If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, go check out Cult Pop's Twilight episode.
Also, just listen to the Twilight soundtrack. Say what you will about Twilight.
Specifically Decode.
You can be a hater on Twilight all you want, but the soundtrack slaps. It's no matter how you feel about Twilight, nothing but bangers. Like it's so good. And that's
that
going to
would
be
my
what I press
soundtrack.
my ashes into. I don't even want to be cremated, but like,
Honestly, How to Train Your Dragon has a really good soundtrack.
these are the best, most chaotic answers. Dylan, what's your answer? And is it a soundtrack?
Now I feel like it has to be. If it was a soundtrack, what would it be? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking like something Danny Elfman. Maybe Beetlejuice soundtrack. Like that one's awesome.
No, I'm changing my answer. It's gonna be Lilo and Stitch's soundtrack.
It's not what I was expecting. You're like, ooh, I got a good one. Lilo and
The
Stitch.
Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
These are the weirdest answers.
Again, I had one drink.
Every time. Every time.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Get a little weird. All right. I have another question. It kind of bounces off one of the other ones. How many songs about death can you name?
Ooh.
The last time we did this, I just said the entirety of the Black Parade album by My Chemical Romance. There's literally a song called "Dead!" exclamation point.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
that's
I think Pierce the Veil has a song called Body Bag.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go. I feel like
Yeah.
there's so many songs about death, and then I can't think of them off the top of my head. My Immortal by
Oh, that's a good
Evanescence.
one.
Makes me cry every time. They have a lot of other songs about death too.
Yeah.
Wake Me Up When September Ends.
Mm. It's a
No,
sad
they're
one to end
sad.
on.
Yeah.
They're all sad.
Yeah,
There's no
there's-
happy songs about death.
It's a lot of songs about death. Yeah.
The day the music died. I was playing at the
Yeah.
bar. We were at before.
It
We were
was.
having a drink. That's why I thought of it.
Yeah.
Any
all I
other
got.
ones we're missing? There definitely
Any
are.
happier ones?
Any happy songs about death?
Let's see what Google has to say.
I mean, happy and that makes me think of like how in New Orleans they like celebrate like with the parade.
Yes.
Those could be some happy songs about death.
Yes.
You know?
I want.
Which I like that sentiment.
Me too.
Yeah.
I want a New Orleans style funeral with all the music, and they carry the Muppet of me through the street. And then I'm secretly not actually dead. I'm like part of the band.
You're really committed to the bit.
Yeah, I can play the clarinet.
Muppet You is just praised the entirety of it.
Oh my god. Yeah. I love that. I think for the tattoo question, I wouldn't do the ashes and the ink of the tattoo.
No.
I do it in
That's
jewelry
just
though.
not sanitary.
I do it in jewelry too. In jewelry, but also I like Dylan's sentiment. Like I would ask the person first, like, "Hey, can I put you in some jewelry when you die?"
Right.
I just
right.
think of the Tarzan scene. Are you sure this water's sanitary? It looks questionable to me.
sanitary.
Yeah, I would definitely do like a tattoo like in their honor.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's
Mhm.
pretty common too. A lot of people have memorial tattoos.
Mhm.
Mm.
Like I'm even just thinking about how if you're mixing the ash into the ink or whatever, would that ruin the quality of the ink? Would it not last as
Right?
long?
Like, I don't-
Boom.
If anybody out there has done this or knows somebody who has done it, let us know the logistics of it because I'm genuinely curious.
Send me pictures.
Yeah. I didn't think this was actually a thing until I pulled this card from the deck and I was like, huh. Do
Because we were
people
at work
actually-
and we were pulling these cards and we were like, oh, this is an interesting
Yeah,
one.
this is an interesting one to talk about. Yeah. And I think we got some responses the last time we did this question, like a year ago. But
Mhm.
people commented about like jewelry. They're like, oh, I've done it
Yeah.
with jewelry, but I don't remember if anybody said that they did it with a tattoo. But if you did, remind
Let
us
us know.
and let us know. 'Cause I am genuinely curious how that works.
We'll post these questions to our Instagram story too, so we can hear all your guys'
Yes.
responses.
I want to see your answers. I feel like everybody in our listeners would live in a murder house.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It would
If
just
you're
be
getting a
cool.
good
Why wouldn't
deal.
you?
I think, yeah, he would be a good deal. And do they have to, is this just a rumor? Like, do they have to actually disclose if there's a murder in the house within 5 years, or is that just something TV has told me? It's like the same thing where it's like, are you a
thought
cop?
that
You
was
have
real
to tell me.
too.
It's like-
Did I just watch too much TV growing up?
Maybe.
What
I
does-
mean, that's
what
kind of
does
the basis
Google
of our
say?
whole pot. Yeah, now I'm
It
checking.
feels like
Google.
it'd be a TV thing.
A TV thing if they have to
Yeah,
disclose.
but
I'm
I
thinking
could be
like
wrong.
it only if you ask they have to tell you.
But
maybe
also,
that's a TV thing.
you know, it's probably varies from location to location,
Maybe it's
honestly,
by
as well.
state.
It does. Oh my God, literally.
Yeah.
Whether real estate agents must disclose murders depends on the state and the circumstances of the death. In California, sellers must disclose any death within the last 3 years, including murders.
Ooh.
Alaska listing agents must disclose known murders or suicides within the last year. And South Dakota sellers must disclose any death within the last 12 months.
What about PA?
Most states don't have any death disclosure requirements. Ooh. I'm going to say Pennsylvania. Let's see. Nope.
All right.
No.
I could be living in a murder house.
So they built
could.
it. They just built it.
Maybe somebody died from what was there before. Think about how many dead people there are.
There's so many.
There's so many.
There's so many.
Then they outnumber us, and they will continue to.
Dylan, you're like inside my head. I think this gets so often.
Somebody probably died everywhere.
I think this so often. And now I'm just thinking of Poltergeist when they didn't realize their new house was on like a sacred burial ground.
Oh my God, if I
Right.
I'm so sorry. It's just like, no. It's okay. The building I live in was built in like the 1800s. Somebody definitely
Someone
died in
died
that
there.
building. Somebody definitely died there.
Yeah.
Well, now
I'm fine.
I'm gonna think
Clearly.
that I'm gonna think
Okay.
about this constantly, literally everywhere I go. Someone died here, maybe.
I think about that and like I'll be in my own head sometimes when Coast and I are on like a road trip and he'll be driving and I'll look out the window and I'll see like a forest. And I'm like,
There's a dead body in
how many
there.
bodies do you think are in there? And he's like, please, not now. We're having such a nice day.
On our
Every
road
time.
trip in a few weeks, you're gonna be doing that, and I'm gonna be like, I just need to focus on
You're like,
driving.
I'm driving right now. Yeah, I freaked Coast out a few times. And that was even like, I would do that before I worked in a morgue. I just constantly thought about that stuff. I'm like,
Constantly thinking about death.
yeah. Well, I grew up on Long Island and there was the Long Island serial killer who hid bodies off the side of the highway at Gilgo Beach. And he was just caught recently, or they convicted somebody recently for it. But I was in 12th grade when the bodies started just popping up and they were like right off the Ocean Parkway. And I was in driver's ed and I'm driving and we're driving on the Ocean Parkway and our teacher just casually goes, it's like 6:30 in the morning. And he's like, oh, that's where they started finding the bodies. And I'm like, what?
Why would you tell me that?
I'm like, why would you tell me that as I'm driving this car? I'm about to crash it. He's
My
like,
gosh.
Yeah.
You have a like a little Stand By Me moment, gather your friends.
oh my God.
Like, let's go visit.
Let's
the
go
dead
find out. You guys want to see a
body.
dead body?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And I remember they gave us, so like prom was happening and they always told the seniors like, hey, don't go drinking at the beach. And this time they were like, guys, actually don't go drinking at the beach because they're finding bodies.
Drink
like,
at home.
There's a
I
dead
know,
body there.
like I know people do it anyway when we say don't do it, but like for real, don't go. there's murders happening. It was wild.
That's so insane.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was really crazy.
You have so much fun stories. I just love,
I'm
I
just
love hearing you
willing-
talk.
I'm just willing to tell any story on the internet. Freaking read my 10th grade
Do it
book
for the
report on
views.
cult. Do it for the views. That's exactly it.
Well, if you guys have any episode suggestions for us, movies to watch, shows to watch, if there's any death-related games that are out there that we don't know about,
Any
Feel free.
movies or songs about death that we forgot, let us know.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's just like a little cozy sleepover vibe
Yeah.
after celebrating our 100th episode last week.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
We'll see you next time for a brand new dissection. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Bye.
Young John!